Hi everyone. Hopefully my audio is capturing. If someone in the chat could just say if they can hear me, that'd be excellent, and I'll get cracking. So today's stream is called Question Time. So every week I'll be doing a stream, and the sort of theme of each stream will be a sort of a rotation. So this week's stream is all about questions. So if you have any questions, any queries, anything you want to ask about game development, Unreal, or even myself, you're more than welcome to ask them here. It's sort of a live sort of help desk session. I can try and do my best and try and show you at the same time. Whilst we're answering questions, I thought I'll be brainstorming a future tutorial series. Something I've been rattling around in my head, trying to get a good system in mind for how to accomplish it, and that is an ability system. So, sort of like an RPG where you can shoot fireballs and whatnot, and then change what abilities you have on your hotbar and all that stuff. So I think I've got an idea of how to do it. So I'm going to be playing about with that in this session. But this is, I say, questions ahead. I've got the chat right in front of me, so that's the priority of this week's stream. I say each week will vary differently. Try and give some variety each week as they come. So, any ideas on wall running from Innocent Baraka? I saw a video of a guy who was making a game, and he had this wall running gameplay in his game. So, wall running is the way you do it is you do a line trace, when you jump in the air to check if there's a wall to the left or to the right of you. And if it is, you want to check its distance, and if it's close enough, you want to keep the player moving the same velocity, but keep them at the same distance away from the wall. It's quite a bit of work to do, but it's totally doable. I can't remember the guy's name now. If you look for a game developer on YouTube who's doing a game dev series, like sort of a production log of his game, he talks a lot about it. I can't remember his name now. It's a sort of a cat ninja type game. If I find it, I'll have a look in a second and see if I can find it. Thank you, Skillet Game Dev. You can't make a nice locomotion for the AI like in Bloodborne or Dark Soul. You want to make AI who move strafe left or right around between two attacks sometimes. Can make a video on this. Yep, that is coming. So strafing is handled by, so it looks like a circle, but it really isn't. It's a load of straight lines, and it will move from one point to another point based on a straight line. But you connect those straight lines up, and it looks like a circular movement. So that's sort of how you do strafing. In a circular motion anyway, and attacks just are things you will interrupt that strafing movement. Again, I will get a video to it. I've got loads of videos to do, so it's just a matter of getting to that. If I do miss your question, so sorry, just keep asking it, and I will get to it. The chat will move quite quickly. How can I make a bubbling liquid particle? Particle system, pretty standard. I use Cascade, but you can use any kind of particle system you want. So this one here is Cascade. To give you an overview of Cascade and how it works for everyone, you have emitters, and you can have multiple emitters to a particle system. So hang on, if I go to the starter content, I can show you a pre-made one. So if I look at fire's a good one. So here's a fire particle effect. So you can see all these emitters, and these all handle different things, and you can hit the S icon here to show you the individual one. So that one's the flames, this one's secondary flames, smoke, embers, and so on and so forth. So you can focus on each one. So bubbling liquid, you would have the bubbles, and then you'll have another emitter, which is sort of like the little pops of like liquid popping off the surface. And that could be all done with just meshes or particle system sprites, totally fine. You can even do it with a material, probably. Let's say there's quite a few ways you could do it. Conquestar, something I've seen many different answers to. Is it possible to have different games send messages over blueprints with or without nativization? The use case is having to make a dedicated server where you don't want to distribute code for a dedicated server with a client while using blueprints. Conquestor. By different games, do you mean different instances of the same game running, like a multiplayer game? If you can give us a bit more detail about what you're trying to achieve, that might be a bit better. Any idea of implementing 2.5D movement like games like Cloner, where the plane perspective changes? Yeah, I'm working on something quite cool in that regard. I'm still working at the kinks to it, because I've seen some implementations of it, but they're a bit janky. So I'm experimenting with 2.5D sort of movement. I've got basic plane movement, but not the sort of on the spline. Working on that one. How to use a 3D side scroller is getting like little nightmares. So a 3D side scroller, I can actually do it on this character here. So on my character here, if I go to edit the character, you can go to the character movement component, and on the right hand side details panel, you will see somewhere constrained to plane, and you can tell what plane it constrains it to. So if I say let's do the X, I think it's 1 we do in there. I can't remember what values to put in there, but I think 1 will do it. Yeah, so I can't walk into that direction, it will only walk along the X direction. So this is how you lock a 3D model to a single plane. Notice I can't, it won't let me run that way or run towards the camera. So that's how you do that. Have I ever finished and sold a game? If so, what was the experience? Any tips on finishing a game? I have finished a couple of mobile games and released them and sold them. Made a little bit of money, but not much. Any tips on finishing a game? Yeah, don't feature creep. Set a goal in mind, do it, and don't keep thinking, oh, I'll add this, then I'll add that, then I'll add that. And one thing I would also say is you could spend forever polishing and forever adding details and reworking artwork and so forth. Don't do it. Just release the game. Even if you think it's broken, not good, just release it. Because if you're going to get stuck on it, you're never going to release it and get that valuable experience of going through all that motion. How do you make enemy waves? I tried using an enemy counter going upwards every time with floats. I mean, it never worked, so how would you do it in a simple working? So Conrad, I actually do have a channel, videos on the channel which is doing about enemy wave movement, wave spawning, like horde zombie mode. If you look at on my channel, you'll find on there, it's a 3-part series, you can find it there. Do I have any optimization tips to share about tiled landscape streaming proxy with world composition enabled on Blueprint side? Optimization tips for tiled landscape streaming. Nothing too much. It depends on the cases that you of the levels that the world you're making. A landscape, yeah. It entirely depends on your level and the world you're making. It's hard to say without seeing it, but one thing I would say about optimization in general is don't worry about optimizing your game until the end. far too many people will say, oh, this is inefficient, or this will cause lag down the line, or whatever. So what you want to do is make sure that your game is actually finished before you optimize it. It's a very dangerous game to just focus on the smaller details, trying to perfect it and try and get it as optimized as possible. You'll never finish your game in time. So just finish your game first, get the gameplay in there first, and then go back and try and figure out how you can make that a bit more efficient. Once you've got the full picture there, it's a lot easier. It's like, for example, in real world, if you're getting a jigsaw puzzle, if you're optimizing as you went along a jigsaw puzzle wise, you'd get one piece out at a time and try and place it in the right place. In my view, you want to empty that whole entire box out and see what pieces you have, and then you can figure out how you can solve the problem. So that's my top tip about optimization. How do I set the correct scope for your game? It's a good question, P30 Virus. The correct scope for your game. This depends on so many factors. The first thing would be your resources. So what time do you have available to you to work on? What resources do you have? So like equipment, software, staff, other factors you can think of. But if you're getting started in game development, I would recommend focusing on just one very simple mechanic, and working from that. It's very easy for people to keep saying, "Oh, I want to add RPG to it. I want to add loads of abilities or loads of different enemies." Just think of one simple mechanic. Don't worry about your game being too derivative or too boring. Get a simple mechanic, get it working. Even if you're ripping off another game, that's totally fine. Just rip it off. That's totally fine, because it's all experience, all learning, and as you do more, you get quicker. So yeah. So I have a C++ question. Timer is valid returns true on a timer on begin play. Yeah, it's never initialized until much later when an event is triggered. Thoughts? Timer is valid returns true on a timer on begin play, yet it is never initialized until much later when an event is triggered. Thoughts? The timer is valid means that it just exists in memory. So if you've made the timer and it is stored in memory, then whether it's running or not, that doesn't matter. Valid will return true. So I believe that's the case. Again, it's something I have to see in code and actually break it down. When the player's mode is set to only UI, yes, you can't use player use keys. If you want to use the UI and the game keys, you want to use only game and UI. So, for example, if I go into here, you'll see if I get the player controller, you want game and UI. That way you can interact with the user interface as well as the actual game itself. So think like World of Warcraft, that's game and UI. For the 3D side scroller question, does it not take any mouse inputs anymore after doing it? Because I want it to be a fixed camera. Yes, it stops taking any mouse inputs as well. It'll pin it down, I believe. Let me check that. If not, that's easy to fix. Oh no. Aha. Okay. Yeah, you want to fix that. So if you want to fix camera, you go to camera boom, and you want to turn off use. Where is it? I think it's use pawn control rotation. I think. No, it's not that one. Where is it? Maybe it's on camera. Nope. Where am I looking for? You want to tell it to ignore the mouse. I mean, one way you can do it is, if you want, you can just remove the mouse events. These, for example. And now my mouse doesn't do anything. So you can lock the camera that way. And if you want that to be a toggle, then you make it a boolean that you can toggle off and on. Oh wait, so Conrad, are you saying that you want the player to use the keys to interact with the UI? So that goes with how you make gamepads to interact with the user interface. I need to do a video on that because a lot of people ask about that. So when you make a widget, like your user interface, if you want the keypad or gamepad to interact with the widget, what you need to do is, so for example, again this is very brief because I'll do a full video on this. What we're doing, panel. You want something like a vertical box. You need one of these panels. So a vertical box is a good example. So in your vertical box you could have a load of buttons, for example. So just put a load of buttons in, blah 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 blah. And these have what we call focus. And you can want to set focus when you go into this mode, or this could be a pause menu, this could be inventory, whatever it may be. You want to, when you spawn the widget, there'll be a thing called set focus, and you want to set focus to the widget. Now if you set focus to a vertical box and you use the numpad, the arrow keys or a gamepad, when you push up and down, it will actually move up and down in the vertical box. So for example, yeah, you see you have navigation. So anything with a navigation here will do stuff. Okay, so up and down will do different things based on what you want it to do. So vertical boxes, for example, you can cycle up and down by default, but you can change what they do and so forth when you push left or right. So if you want it to go to a different vertical box, when it goes left, you tell it where to go for that. Again, very brief, I'll do a full video on that. Sorry, chat's going mental, can't keep up. C++ ladder system, the most viable approach, animation root system, or C++ movement system. I personally would do a root motion system for ladders. To me personally, that makes most sense and easier to do. But it's dealer's choice, really. Since you're driving a character using the character movement component instead of a root motion. So I would have, yeah, so you'd have root motion, and with root motion you can tell it to pause and play the animation. So if you've got a root motion going on of it climbing a ladder, for example, you can make it so it loops infinitely, so it'll keep going up and up and up and up and up. And what you do is when you hit the floor or reach the top, you tell that root motion to end. And when you push up, it goes forwards the animation. If you push down, it goes backwards the animation. So you can change the play rate of it. That's what I'll do. I want to be able, so Conrad, you've asked, you want to be able to use a flip-flop that makes the player able to open this UMG with, for example, a tab and then close it with a tab. Yeah, so you can have this in two places. In your code somewhere to open up, you do the tab to open up the widget. Then for it to close a widget, there's no shortcut way around it. You have to go onto the widget itself, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but you'd have to go into your functions over here and go to function override, and you'll choose on key down, and from there you can check the key event and find the key that was pushed, like so, and you can then compare that with the input settings you have. Action mapping by name. So you could have a mapping called interact, for example, and then you want to compare this with, you do a for each with this and compare it with this, and that will determine whether or not the input key was actually pushed. This get input settings and get action mapping by name, this is all found in your input settings here when it loads up. It's not going to load up. Never mind. Close that. Oh, it's there. Never mind. So input, and you can that refers to this. Oh, cancel. YYZDD will be adding hearing perception to the AI series, e.g. footsteps and crouching. I have already. You'll find a video all about hearing and noise perception. If you want to determine whether the footsteps and crouching are part of that, you just do a noise event for whatever situation you want it to happen on. In what situations is C++ better than Blueprints, and what kind of games are Blueprints better, and what kind of games is C++ better? So this brings back. I brought up a question about C++ and versus Blueprints. Now this is a common argument that happens on all the forums, that happens all on comment sections and so forth. So there are things C++ can afford you that C Blueprints can't. The difference between the two of them in sense of speed is negligible. You're not back in olden days of Unreal. Obviously, C++ was faster, but nowadays there's no point really worrying about it. The times that you'll definitely want to use C++ is when you want to expose something in the engine that isn't already exposed in Blueprints. So all Blueprints are exposed nodes from the C++. So these are all functions that exist in C++. There are other functions that exist already, and you can go into the actual C++ and expose them, or you can make your own and expose them to Blueprints. So make a Blueprint friendly version of it for the actual real code in C++. But I would say that there is no difference between the two of them really. C++ yes is faster, but the difference between the two of them is completely not worth even bothering. Chances are you'll never be in a situation where you have to worry about that, because the times where you want to make sure you're C++ in code all the time is if you're trying to squeeze every living ounce of the processing power out of the engine as much as possible. So that's only when you're working on massive games that really need to be strongly optimized. But the argument between which one's better is completely a fake argument. That shouldn't exist. People that do argue that C++ is better than Blueprints are up on their high horse. They need to get down from it. But yeah. So not much difference in it. I won't worry about it. As people have been saying in the comments, in the chat, yep, that's right. They were saying the same things I'm saying basically. So yep, Slavical, yep, ability system and multiplayer, they're all currently in C++, but not in Blueprints, which is what I've been experimenting with at the moment today, is actually creating my own ability system in Blueprints. But yeah, they will eventually get turned into Blueprints. It's just a matter of when, so you just have to wait and see. I'll sip my drink. Okay, Curry. AI vehicles having trouble finding a traffic system that works perfectly or properly. I found some spline path follow systems that work, but say I want to randomize the path. Yeah, so spline paths you do per road, and when I get to intersections, you stop the spline, and you have other splines come off with it. So when you reach the end of that intersection, the AI will then choose randomly which spline it will follow, and then you can tween between spline A and spline B, for example. Yeah. Comrade, you can only make components in C++. I mean, a value tab that can exchange variables easy to other blueprints assets. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, you can only make components in C++. Yes, that's true. But you can make sort of different ones. You can fudge it with child actors, so you can do it. Hi Kyle, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. By the way, Kyle, everyone, is one of my old students from a couple of years ago. And are you open to co-op development? I would love to help people out develop games, and I would love to do more time with games. But unfortunately, I have a real life job and real life family I have to worry about. So, if you don't know, I teach games development for a living. So, teaching job is busy in itself, so I can't commit as much time as I want to actual game development. I literally do my own development in and out of when I can. So, yeah, real life unfortunately is in the way for that one. Hopefully one day though this channel will be successful enough where I can do this full time and give myself a bit more time to actually make some games and help people out with them. Have you ever tried getting a live video stream into the engine, like say from webcam source? I haven't ever tried it. No, August. Sorry. That'd be a plugin of some kind. You need a video encoder. Yeah, I think so. Yep, Slavical. As I said earlier, yeah, you can make blueprint actor components. You just make child actors. Okay, you're all just chatting. Cool, I'll let you all just chat. But yeah, C++, if you're not familiar with object-oriented programming, it can be a bit scary looking and a bit unfriendly because it's not managed like C# is. If you're new to object-oriented programming, I would recommend starting on like Java or C# and get the basics understood there. And then moving on to C++, but obviously you can start wherever you like, it's not a big deal. If you want to learn programming, there's a really cool app that I really recommend called Solo Learn. I'll write in chat. Hang on. Look up Solo Learn on App Store. So the Solo Learn app on the App Store is really cool. I really recommend it. It's a good way of learning code, and you can do it on your phone, so you can just learn in bed. It's quite good. Jamie, I did ask a question before the ladder one. Did you? Let's go back. Oh yeah, how would I automatically determine if a controller is a gamepad or keyboard and change the UI to match? Good question. Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Let's have a look, see what's available to us. Controller, no. Input. I'm not too sure, Jamie. I mean, you could use this is gamepad key, and you know, at start the game. By the way, this is if you didn't know, realise this. You know, at start the games where they say push A to start your game or whatnot. That they have to do that because they have to determine which controller is being played with the game, and that controller then is registered and linked to that player 1, player 2, player 3, whatever it may be. So you could do a screen like that, which you say push any button to start, and whatever button they push, you determine whether it's a gamepad key. If it's a gamepad key, then you know it's a gamepad, and you can store that in your game instance. If it's not true, then it means they're using a keyboard. So you could do it that way. That's one way you could do it. Innocent Baraka, I wanted to attend a game college, but the tuition fee was 80k. That's expensive. What game college was that? Is that one in the United States or something? I just don't know. Wish I was getting paid 80k. Jesus. A 30-second delay, is that intentional? What, in the stream? Maybe. I ain't got a clue. Possibly. I had this idea of opening a WhatsApp group of UE4 developers. What do you think? Yeah, you can do. It would probably be Discord, would probably be a better option though. You'll get a lot more action there. Because you can do a lot more things like screen shares and videos and that. So I really recommend checking out Discord for that sort of thing. Slavical, alright, here's a question. Timer is set to loop at a rate of 0.1 with a delay of 3, yet the timer loops every 3 seconds. Yeah, that's right, because you're delaying the start of it by 3 seconds, and then it's going to go at 0.1. So I reckon... in my head it makes sense, so... It could be the fact that delay means that it's delaying every loop rather than delaying at start, or using the actual delay node or delay function for it. What are you looking at there? Full Sail University. Look it up. Yeah, I know about Full Sail. I've heard about that. Yeah, in US, you guys do get absolutely creamed for your tuition fees. In all honesty, you can learn everything you want to learn about game development online if you wanted to. You don't need to have a tutor stand up in front of you. It does help. That is my living after all, a tutor that stands up in front of people. So, I mean, I assume Full Sail's good. Everything I look at looks good, so hard to say, but whether it's worth 80k or not, that's down to your own financial situation. Kyle, how's Blob 2 coming along? I haven't touched it for a couple of months because I've just moved, so still getting the house together. I've literally been doing flat pack furniture for 2-3 weeks straight now. Absolutely exhausted. If you want to know, I did a computer games development university degree as well. I did it in the University of East London. And mine cost at the time 9k a year, so that came out of what, 27 grand. Yeah, it was right. Yeah, I will say, everything I know about game development is, although I did do a degree in it, I don't think I use a single thing that I learned at university now, because it gets outdated so quickly. So you put as much weight in it as you put into it. I learned Unreal all on my own. I learned Game Maker all on my own. On Unity all on my own. All the art stuff like Maya and all that. Touched the basic stuff at university. But as I said, things have changed so much. I've just learned it all on my own. All my knowledge, yep, online. Yeah, that's all I do online. Online, just playing and guessing. Just keep practicing. Hi Ryan, from Elis Leoda, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Is there an easy way to move components from one blueprint into another? No. Actually, you could do inheritance if what you're doing supports that. So you can make a child of it. So for example, if I have a third person character here and I make a new component as well, I'll put a light on it, for example. I'll add another one. I'll add a sphere to it. Okay, so I've got this sphere and point light. If I want something else to have the same components, I can right click and create child blueprint. And this will also have the sphere and point light that was over there. And that's completely inherited. And we can override these as well, if you wish. That's probably the best way of doing it. David, so am I every week on this time having a question time? Not every week, no. So the plan is, currently, every Saturday I'll be doing a live stream. And the theme of each live stream will change. I've got 4 types of live streams in mind. So they will go on a rotation. So question time will be every 4 weeks, and then next week will be something different, and week after that something different again. So to give you an idea, I'm just going to try and load up what I've been doing. Hang on, let me move that out of the way. So, oh crap, I've opened up Photoshop now. God's sake. Hang on. Oh, it's all going squiffy. Hang on. There we are. So the different live streams I have currently planned are, so this week was the question time. Next week, last week I did some behind the scenes sort of tutorial stuff. Next week I'm going to be making a game. So I thought what would be quite cool is to make a game that exclusively on live stream. So just working on bits, just tinkering away and trying to get a game together, a little simple game. And explaining what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and so forth. So that'll be next week, where I'll be making a game live, just exclusively for the live stream. So I won't work on it outside of the live stream. And another one after that would be a let's play. So the let's plays will be very different from other let's plays that probably exist on YouTube. So the idea of the let's plays is that while playing a game, we'll be talking about how developers have approached the design and development of that game by looking at what they did, and trying to decipher how they did it and why they did it, and try and learn something from it. So this whole channel is all about learning game development. So part of that will require some case studies. So that's what basically we're going to be calling them. Is we're going to do a case study on various games every 4 weeks as well. Yeah, so I thought that'd be quite cool. And varies up, and it gives me a chance to play some games every now and then, which is good, because I don't get as much time as I like to play games, so that'd be quite cool. Let's just get rid of what I did here. Jamie, how would I build just a server only? If I wanted to Docker is, if you know what Docker is, I would easily deploy and scale a game server. Oh dear. Well, if you're doing a server only, I would say you would be probably maybe programming it something else and uploading that as sort of a wrapper. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't written too much server-side stuff. I've only done peer-to-peer stuff, really. The easiest thing to do is to work with Amazon Web Services and see what they offer and look at their documentation. That's what I'd recommend. Hi, Kylo. Conrad, how does resolution work with UE4? because it's 0 to 100% pixels, and with the command 100 means 100 but 99 means 98. So how does it work? Huh? Not entirely sure what you mean, Conrad. You mean resolution of the game's output? I mean, that varies. You have to give me a bit more specific on that one. Yeah. Dylan, how's the new pad? Thanks for the videos. Been learning a lot from you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the house is good. It's a nice 3-bed. So I've got my kids got their own rooms now, which is great. If you don't know, I've got a 2-year-old and I've got an 8-month-old. Yeah, that's great. It's a new build house, so it's really cool and swanky and brand new, pristine. Don't have to worry about anything being broken, but it does mean I'm doing a lot of DIY and putting shelving up and furniture together and all sorts. But we're getting there. We're almost done. The lawn's looking like it's done now, so that's quite good. I can actually use my garden, which is nice. Graphics resolution. So I'm guessing when you say 100, do you mean equality? Because you can't have 100% resolution. 100% of what? Go away, shush. It would have to be. I'm guessing you're talking about quality there. Kylo. Can I ask how I can make it so my AI does not see my player when it's in stealth camo? I want to do it based on your AI tutorial series I followed. Okay, so if you've got a player in stealth camo, they should have a boolean on them saying is stealthed or is invisible. What you then do is on the AI is when they do the perception update and you're checking the actor, you want to find out if the actor has that boolean set to true or false and then react accordingly. Yeah, that's basically it, really. Jamie, you won't be hosting on Amazon, plus you have to keep your options open. If you've got your own server, you can host on your own server. That's totally doable, but you have to make sure your server is going to be able to handle the loads that you're expecting. Yeah, resolution scale, so is it in here? I can't remember now. Whereabouts it is? Nope, not where is it? Oh, yeah, I typed it right. Do you mean? I'm trying to find what you mean. You're talking about. Where are you seeing your resolution scale settings, Conrad? I'll make sure I'm looking at it right. It's the same thing, is it? He means instance that you set your render scale to something like down scale or up scale to the screen. Oh. Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah, that 0 to 100%, that's just whether or not you are upscaling or downscaling, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it would read 98. Might have something to do with the way the numbers are rounded. I can't say for certain why that would be the case. Yeah, not too sure. That seems like a question for Epic. Edis, for instance, when attaching a component to a gun in listener mode, it works fine, but when running a dedicated server, the mag disappears, but nothing looks wrong in the code. Is dedicated server mode a good way to know what will replicate in multiplayer situation? The best way to replicate in a multiplayer situation is to set up a local server and running it from a local server, so on the same computer that you're developing on. That way you can actually see it a bit better. That's the best way of testing replication to make sure it looks and works well, is actually doing it. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend. How can you make your character move smoother? I don't know what you mean, Familiar. If you can let us know a bit more details of what you mean by smoother, because to me it looks quite smooth. So if you give me a bit more indication of what you mean, that'd be great. Sorry. Thanks for watching them, Ellie. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Marion, Ryan, do you have a video where you show how to replicate pitch weapon, let's say in multiplayer? If you want to replicate, if you can turn it into a function, you replicate the function. I haven't got it on this project, but yeah, you make it as a function and replicate the function. That'd be the best way of doing it. Or replicating the variable. You can replicate variables. So if you have a variable in here called pitch, for example, you got replication down here. You can tell it to re-replicate or not. That's the way you do it. Sorry, I'm trying to read all the comments. So you can't. Yes. So Slavical, you can find out you can't make timers and actors and scene components. Frustrating because now I have to work around it. Do you know why? That is because they are independent from the delta time. Components don't work with delta time, so you can't do it with that. And that's what the timer runs off of. So yeah. You can make your own timers for it though, and just feed delta time into your components. Run right and turn right. My character have some shadow. Do you see it on other people's screens as well, Malia? No, I don't see. a shadow. Maybe it has to be if you've got a not powerful PC, it might be something to do with it. How do you check for which graphics you have? What graphic card settings you mean? Conrad, is that what you mean there? Jamie, I made a scene of many objects and my FPS fell to 15, but if I merge them into one, my FPS goes back up. Do you tell me render passes the GPU does? Is there a way I can join these objects without creating a new mesh? It depends. What are these objects? Are they just logic-less actors and meshes, or they got stuff going on? Because if they're just basic meshes, you can use instance meshes if you want. I can make my own timers in components. Let's experiment with that. Slavical. Where's my mouse? Lost my mouse. Oh, in the game. That's why. Let's have a look. So if I go, let's make a new component. Actor component, and oh, it works for me on the components. Must be, I don't know, maybe C++ it does something different. But in the blueprints it seems to work in the actor's component. Oh mate, I've looked down, I've missed the comments. Just mesh objects. Jamie, yeah, I'd recommend instance meshes. Let's make instance mesh. Go start content. Let's find a mesh. Props. So this is a mesh. If you right click on this, I think it is, you can. Where was it? Hang on. I mean, I don't know. Like when you use the foliage editor, these are instance. So if you're doing grass, it's less CPU intensive if you use the foliage tool. So you could use this. You can go like chair, for example. Rather than paint a load of chairs in, you could just do single instance mode, and it would just place chairs like that. This is going to be far less intensive, but they don't have collision on them, I don't think. Yeah, they're just objects. So you can do that. That's totally fine. Back to the chat. we'll be able to show you how to make music change based on alert status. So similar to Metal Gear alerts, evasion and caution. Also have an idea to make a light change on status. You could do a couple of things with the music, I believe. So you have a sound cue, for example. Ooh. And you could have a branch. That'd be a param. No, what am I looking for? Oh, I can't. Oh yeah, here you go, ball parameter name, it's here. So here you can do the name here is alerted. Oh. And you make it play this music if it's alerted and this music if it's not alerted, and then you can access that parameter is alerted somewhere. So if I go to my level blueprint, that'd probably be easier. Oh, what am I doing? You can do this. You just type in is alerted. If it's true, it'll play the true branch. If it's false, it'll play the false branch, and that's how you do the sound changing. Sorry if I'm missing your comments. It's loads going on. Yeah, Ali, aim offset would be the best way of doing that. Familiar, that could be the case. It's hard to know that sort of comparison. Can it's done with a blueprint 2? It can't, I don't think. I mean, if you're making building, because if you think about Fortnite is all modular pieces, and that runs just fine. So check out some GDC talks about Fortnite. They're bound to talk about it there to see how they solved it. How long have I been in games development? I've been developing games. When did I finish? Since 2009. Is that right? Yeah, 2009. I've been teaching it since 2011. I think it is 2011, maybe. Hard to keep track. Good night, Instant Baraka. And I do sound extremely tired. I am very tired. It's 2 a.m. at the moment here. I don't get much sleep nowadays. Babies do that for you. Yeah, I don't know. Right. Close that. Close that. Close that. Close that. Yeah, it's all kind of fast paced, this sort of workshop crash and time thing, but I thought it was a valuable place for people just to shout out. The reason why I do this sort of video stream is because so many people leave comments on my videos, but I can't answer them all. It's impossible. They go off all the time. So I thought I'd do this sort of like every now and then do a stream where people just come out and just shout and ask questions, and I'll try and answer them the best I can. I mean, I know a lot, but I don't know all of it. If I don't know all of it, I look it up and I do my research. So what's quite cool is, being a teacher, there are some valuable skills being a teacher that has compared to other people. I always say to make a good teacher isn't necessarily about the knowledge that you have. That you know how to find out that knowledge. So when a student comes up to me with a question they don't know, and I don't know the answer to it, I'll tell them I don't know the answer to it, but I'll find them out, and I'll usually find out within the next 20 minutes and come back to them with it. So that's my philosophy as a teacher, and how I guide all my staff and other teachers, how they should approach the problems, is be honest and say, like, if you don't know, you don't know, but you will find out, because that's your most valuable skill, is that you can find out information. You know where to find it out. You know what to search for, and with enough knowledge, basic knowledge of underlying systems, we can sort of figure stuff out on the go. So it's a different way of thinking. It's all about your way of thinking. Because you'll find also, because I watch a lot of GDC talks and all that, and one thing that's quite interesting is that you got all these big game developers, good programmers and artists and so forth. They know their stuff. They really know their stuff because they make these games. But when it comes to explaining or trying to talk about what they have done, they don't explain what they've done. They just talk about, oh, I made this, for example. Slavical, what's my favourite part of game dev? Programming, designing, or writing, creating a story? I love it all, really, but I'd say my favourite part is the sort of coming up with solutions to problems. So that programming, designing sort of mentality, trying to figure out solutions to problems. I like the puzzle solving element of it. That's why I like programming. Do you have any more videos planned for the AI series, by the way? Yep. So currently on Patreon, they have a shooter AI series on the go. There's 2 episodes out already for my patrons, and they're getting more this coming week. We're doing AI from a shooter game. So enemies shooting at you, flanking you, finding cover, shooting from cover, that sort of thing. So yeah, more AI stuff is coming. Greetings from Indonesia. Hello from Alia. Hope it's nice over there. Outside of my channel, do I have any good resources to put me towards? What kind of resources do you want, Ali? Do you want more programming ones or art-based ones? What kind of things do you want guidance for? Programming basics. So I recommend to all my students Solo Learn. Solo Learn is a great app that you can download on your phone. It's really useful for learning the basics of programming from all different languages. So I would really recommend doing that. But what that teaches you is, and how that equates to Unreal, is that Unreal blueprints work very similarly to object-oriented programming languages like C# or C++, in that they have the same sort of logic patterns and same sort of language in some cases. So once you've learned one of those, you sort of can apply it to blueprints as well. With regards to blueprint nodes and where they're used in particularly, I use YouTube. I just search for YouTube stuff. What's his name? Matthew Wadstein. He does good stuff. I like his one's quite good where he explains each node. It's quite nice. But mostly I use the documentation on Unreal. I look up their forums and things like that. Let's say that's about it really when it comes to actual blueprints itself specifically. Beyond that, it's just experimentation. I would come across a node and for the first time I'm like, oh, what's that do? And I'll have a sit down and think what could I use that for, and why would I want to use that? And you try and understand why the developers have put them in there. So I like to figure out what can I do with it, and sort of test myself with that. Gameplay ability system working. What is it? The C++ one. Yeah, that's something we could do. I'm actually going to develop my own ability system using just blueprints and show people how to do that. That'd be quite cool. That's what I was going to try and do this evening, but I'm asking a bit busy answering questions. Kylo, did I learn most of the knowledge I know by myself with trial and error? Did you go game dev classes? So I went to university and I had done game development studies there for 3 years in 2006. However, a lot of stuff I learned then doesn't really apply now. So I learned a lot on the job. So I started teaching game development, and I had to suddenly teach students how to make Game Maker games, and I've never touched Game Maker. So I was like, oh crap, okay, I better learn Game Maker. So I just sat down and learned it. I used to learn what I wanted to teach them about half an hour before I had to teach them it. So I'd learn it, go to class, teach them it, and that would happen for the better part of the year. But once I'd done 1 year on that bit of software, I kind of just knew it and carried on using it. So Game Maker Studio, for example, I know like the back of my hand, and the same applies to like Unity and now Unreal. It's a lot of it self-taught, where I just trial and error. But once you learned one sort of game engine, you can kind of pick up the others. They're not too dissimilar. They have pros and cons, each of them. So yeah, just self-taught. It's one of my unique traits. I'm quite good at that. I'm quite good at learning new software, new tools, new stuff. Other than that, yeah. How to make a sonar scan effect? What, for UI you mean, or for the level? If it's the level, like a pulse, like Daredevil style, like when it goes throughout the level, that it can be done with a depth, using a depth. Forget my language now. Depth. Visualize depth. What was it called? Show. Tell me. Don't tell me. I'll. Oh my god. It is called. Depth of field? No. Distance field. There you go. No, not distance field. What is it? Have they changed this in this version? It used to be here. No, where is it? Oh, it's here. Buffer visualization. Scene depth, that's it. So you use scene depth. If you want to do a pulse, you get a scene depth, and you can get the color value of the scene depth, and you just paint it a different color, and it animates across. It's kind of hard to explain, but scene depth, basically, the darker it is, the closer it is to you, whiter it is, the further away. So you can use that to sort of make a pulse effect. How to make a magic attack and give damage. I'm going to be doing a video series on that because it's quite cool. To put it simply, I would have each magic attack as a separate actor. When you cast it, you spawn an actor in, and it does stuff. So that's what we're doing in our ability system series way down the line once we get the Shooter AI series out and about. What's my favourite style of game? RPG, FPS, TPS, or a mixture of both? Give you a favourite game as an example. Jesus. I like a lot of games, and a variety of games. As a game developer, you want to get used to playing a lot of variety of games. One common thing I see in a lot of my students in real life is a lot of them only play like one or two games exclusively. Like they either all play Fortnite or FIFA or Call of Duty, and that's it. They'll just play that, and they don't know anything else. But then I have to sit down and show them like these little indie games and other little fun little ones that they've never heard of, and open their minds up a bit. So I play a lot of mixture stuff. Personally, though, I don't know. See, I like RPGs a lot, but one of my favourite of games of all time is Banjo-Kazooie. I love Banjo-Kazooie. But see, I also love Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. But yeah, I don't know. I love them all. I do love a Castlevania Metroid type game. They're quite fun. I've been playing quite a lot of those recently. Something about that I enjoy. I like the completionist aspect of it. It's quite fun. But I've also been playing a lot of Apex Legends, so I do like a good FPS. Yeah. So how long have I been using Unreal, and what other engines have I used before? I was using Unity, but then decided to change myself and try something new and move to Unreal. I've used Unreal Engine for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. I learnt it for about 6 months before I started the channel. Before that, I had touched on Unity, and as I said, I used Game Maker Studio. I used that quite a lot. In university, I used to make Shockwave games, so coding games in Shockwave and Flash and all that stuff. Yeah. Thank you, David. I want to make more snack size guide videos. I will be doing more of them. I want to pump out more videos in that summer holidays. I can pump out a lot more, so I'm trying to. Ali, yeah, Conquer Bad Fur Day. Love Conquer's Bad Fur Day. I thought it was great. The remake on the Xbox 360 was excellent. I loved that. It was really cool. As well as the original, obviously. To make the magic effect, we can use Niagara. You can use Niagara, or you can use Cascade. Both are fine. Both you can do it. Down to you. Niagara is a bit more implemented with blueprint system, but Cascade works just as fine. Down to you. It's personal preference at this point, really. Until they get rid of Cascade completely, which will be a long while yet. Yeah, Flash. Shite. I hate Flash. Yep, AI series, yep, there's more AI stuff coming. The Patreon channel already has 2 more AI videos out. We've got a new sub-series called Shooter AI series, where we're trying to recreate a shooter AI game. Sort of like, so enemies that will shoot at you, hide behind cover, flank you, things like that. That's what we're doing at the moment, and they'll be out relatively soon for public. We'll see. But there's 2 episodes at the moment for Patreons, and they can exclusively for them for a while. Carlo, based on gaming I've used then, which is easier? See, they all have their upsides and downsides. I would say Unreal was probably the easiest one. It's the friendliest one. Game Maker is pretty good. The bit that annoys me the most about Game Maker is doing user interface stuff is a pain in the ass, because you have to code it all manually. So it's not like you have the UMG editor like you do in Unreal. You have to manually type in where you want things to appear and get them to stay where you want them to stay. It's a pain in the butt, but I still use it. It's just a pain. I think Unreal is probably the easier one, just because it has a lot more features and they're more supported. And what I like the most, I probably like Unreal the most, because it is, as I say, so cool. So many features are in it. It's nicely laid out. It's easy to use. It has its moments where it doesn't like to play ball and goes weird on me. But by and large, I think Unreal is probably my favourite one. Probably second to that is probably a Game Maker. I have a special place in my heart for Game Maker. Blob has been made in Game Maker. My game Blob made in Game Maker. Would it be more of the AI is based on stealth? Eventually, yeah, we'll get to stealth. We'll make a stealth AI stuff after the shooter AI probably. Yeah. What I'm going to do with AI is I don't want to just make AI videos for the end of time, because you could do. So I'm going to do a series of AI, probably, and then in between a series of AI do other stuff, and then back to AI, no other stuff, back to AI and other stuff, because otherwise I'm going to get burned out talking about behaviour trees all the time. How do I randomly generate terrain? Depends what kind of terrain you want. Are you talking about like voxel type, like Minecraft? Then that's all done by arrays. But yeah. If you want to generate terrain, like height map terrain, then yeah, World Engine and other type of maps generation software can do it as well. You can just do height map. Height maps are just a graphic, just a black and white image they could do stuff with. So, yes, right. Good luck with your thesis, Fatmalia. Have a good day. How do you make procedural mazes, buildings, and places? Procedural generation. There's loads of different methods. So it depends on your overall design for your mazes, buildings, and places you want them to be. So if you're doing like Diablo style, Diablo do sort of, I can't really call it now. It sort of splits the map up. So it splits it in half, then half again. It chooses one randomly, splits that in half. It's hard to explain. I'm gonna try and find a graphic so I can show you. There's a website which actually explains all the different random generation. Map generator techniques. I'll try and find the website and put a link in. No. Oh, it was a really good website as well. Was it on Gamer Sutra? Let's have a look. So hang on, I've got a link to one site you could use. Put it in chat now. Kylo, how many fully finished games have I made? Blob being one of them, and have you made a stealth game? Finished and released, or just finished? Released titles, I've done 2. Third one being Blob 2, the sequel Blob. I've done Blob before, it's a sequel to Blob. Good night, Ali. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so I've released 2, but I've made, I don't know how many I've made. I've made loads for university, for fun, for students, so forth. Have I made a stealth game? Not a full one. I've done stealth stuff, but not a full stealth game. No. How do you optimize an open world game? An open world game, you'll use level streaming, and you want to build your world so level streaming is taken account of. So I'd just chuck into Unreal documentation and look at level streaming. I haven't got a video on it yet, but I will do in time. Level streaming is the way you want to go with open world game stuff. But don't I need a whole video really on open world, because a lot of people make a lot of common mistakes with open world games. When making an open world game, you have to take into account of line of sight. You want to make sure, if you want to be optimized, that the player's line of sight can be broken and optimized in that way. So, for example, you have big mountains in the way that blocks the player's sight from the rest of the map, buildings, whatever it may be. Another way to optimize an open world game is to use level of detail meshes a lot. So your trees far off in the distance are just planes with a single image on them, and as you get closer, they pop in the higher detailed meshes. Again, I need to do a video on that. There are loads of videos I can do, so that'll be one of them. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it, optimizing an open world game. We're gonna go on for another 10 minutes and then we'll be signing off. By the way, so keep that in mind. I didn't get any stuff done on this ability system, but hey ho, we've helped people. That's what matters. That's what matters. Some games have it so it just appears. Oh, what, the message just pop in? Yeah, that happens because I just didn't do a low level detailed one, or memory didn't cache it correctly. Yeah, that can be an issue. We can get that sometimes. You're making an open world multiplayer game. Good luck to you, because that is damn difficult. I wouldn't do it, but good luck to you. Kylo, has there ever been a point where you've given up on a game you're making because you've hit a wall and couldn't work it out? Yes, loads of times. There you go. Well, that's cool. You found it. I guess the blueprint, they automatically inherit the time manager. Can I do a demo on HP with a secondary layer like a shield and handling fringe cases? What do you mean by fringe cases? What do you mean by that? Don't worry, it's difficult. I have many days where I feel like I'm dying because I'm so stupid. Well done though. It's always a good feeling when you can solve a problem like that. That's what I like about programming, is that feeling when you solve problems. Oh, it feels so good. It's like the best drug in the world. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be. I'll do relative rotation. Not direction. My favourite part is when you combine basic concept together, kind of go on your own and create something really complex, like my shield effect. Yep, I like doing that. You've seen my dialogue series and all that stuff. That's just that stuff. Like, I quite like the idea of using the behaviour tree to create an advanced dialogue system. I really thought that was quite inspired. Quite like that. What's my favourite game right now? I am playing a lot of Apex Legends. I like it a lot. In fact, I'll probably get one round in before I go to bed, and it's 2:30 in the morning here, so I will be playing that a bit. So you took the basic concept of dynamic material, and you had the material dynamically play when damage is taken. Ah, okay, yeah. Fringe cases, as in functionality to manage damage transfer between 2 HP and shield values when the latter is depleted. Oh, right, okay. I can do it. I won't be able to do it right now because we're about to sign off, but I can do more health and shield stuff in time. Cryptic. Is it possible to make a height map of the whole world? In theory, yes, but you need a massive texture with massive resolution, so I don't think that exists at the moment. You need loads of different height maps and stitch them together. There was a game pitched a while ago that was going to try and do that. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if they cancelled it or not. Jamie, you should stream reenacting objects, scenes, animations from other games. Yeah. Could do, yeah. We've done the Let's Create series, didn't we, with Apex's ziplines. So I want to do more series of that, with different actors and objects and scenes from other games. But yeah, I need to think about what ones to do. No worries, Avian? Is that Avian? Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, that one. Why is that being weird? Okay. Right, won't be relative. Why is that not working? Oh, hang on. So I was looking down for too long. Hitting the wall and having a hole. You can do that. Can you just do it where you make a game? Just make a game. We'll get into that. yeah, I want to, let's say next week's stream, we're going to start making a game via live streams. So we're going to be doing stuff like that in the live stream. So we'll make a game that way. It's going to be a very basic game, but we'll go through some basics of making games from scratch. Cool, Slavical, thanks for dropping by. Glad you got it working, and keep playing. It'd be great if I can get to see that at some point. It sounds interesting. It'd be good to see some stuff. See you, man. Well done. Okay, I think we're about done for tonight, everyone. So thank you for coming by, and thank you for asking your questions. As I said, we're going to be doing a rotation of different live streams every Saturday. So every Saturday at midnight GMT or ish, if my children let me, we'll be doing different live streams. So this week was question time. Next week we're doing developing a game, and every 4 weeks adding to that game. The one after that will be a let's play, where we talk about looking at a game as a case study and looking at what they did to make their game, how they got it working, what kind of things they decided to do, the design methods, and so forth. So yeah, we'll be looking at that in the let's plays one as well, the week after that, and then we're back to behind the scenes stuff, where I'll be making stuff in preparation for tutorial videos and teaching you some things. Sort of like a live tutorial. And yeah, so that's it really. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone coming by, and I wish you all the best. Good night, and yeah, see you next time. And don't forget to check out next week's video on Thursday, or Patreons. You can see the next Shooter AI video probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. Thanks everyone. Have a good night.